help menu. So we've got available the Maestro manual. Yes. So you have the ability to bring up the interactive help manual here. And we can quickly find information in different areas. Of something to mention also is there are a number of tutorials available within Maestro. If you look at the tutorials, one thing to be aware of is this tutorial for creating a mesh in Rhino. This is not a tutorial on creating the structural mesh for Maestro. We've had people in the past who have overlooked that. It says there's a caveat at the beginning because this relies on the auto meshing feature in Rhino, which will generate a lot of tries, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the layout of the beams in the hull. And it says, this should be applied to use with Maestro's hydrostatic solver and Maestro Wave. And this was early on, and I think this may have even been before Maestro started using the actual finite element mesh to run Maestro Wave, where you could quickly generate a hydro mesh to be run with a smaller number of elements, in that 5 to 8,000 range. This was a way to quickly generate a hydro mesh that you could run Maestro Wave with, but then it has to be mapped onto your finite element model. But that's just something to be aware of if you see this tutorial. There are some other ones in here. This midship tutorial, which is just a PDF file, but it steps through, building a midship section of a sample model here, and a basic features tutorial. And this one goes through building a fairly simple engine room. And I think both of those are the strake-based models. For a lot of what is done now for standard analysis, a lot of times it'll be the level 2 model. Some of the limitations in a strake-based model, and we can look at them quickly here. I think that was the last slide in the presentation, so you can just do some interactive display with a live model here. But if we turn on the stiffener traces layouts, you can see as you're coming up into the bow here, and this is a potential issue, is that as your strake narrows down, because the module is just coming to a point as you're getting closer to the bow, these stiffener layouts, which are uniform for the length of the strake, start to get a very tight spacing in there. Now there is an option where you can specify, rather than an even number of stiffeners across there, you can set a spacing, and the number of stiffeners on a given quad will be determined by the width of the quad. If I say that I need a strake every 12 inches, if the quad is 3.5 feet wide, I'll get, I guess, 2 internal stiffeners, and I may have one on the end. But if it's only 1.5 feet wide, I'd only get 1 stiffener. And that, I think, may solve some of these problems here where you're getting down to a fairly narrow area. Before, certainly for parallel midbody, it's very useful to quickly model a section of hull in here. And if you were doing optimization, makes it very easy to try out different structure just by changing the stiffener layout or the beam used in that stiffener layout. You can very quickly alter the entire model.